And we are live. Hello, guys, and welcome to the Fleming Film Show with me, Robbie Fleming, and joining me as always is JD the Viewmaster himself, Mr. Justin Doyle. Hello, Justin.
Hey, happy Oscar Day.
Happy Oscar Day, happy Oscar Day. It's just a shame that we've had two bits of bad news today with Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters passing away and Triple H, the famous wrestler, ending his career. Pretty sad, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
It's an end of an era.
It sure is. And, unfortunately, one to me is sadder than the other, but death is never good, so.
No, definitely not.
But
let's hope that Triple H has a good retirement, right?
Yeah, he was so close, though. He had 14 world titles, and then, he was 2 away from tying John Cena and Ric Flair, so he could have done it if he wanted to, but he chose not to. And I guess he had a heart issue and really scared him, so he doesn't want to. Wrestle anymore. So that's too bad.
There's a shout out to my friend Dan Harris. He loves wrestling because he was sad about this as well.
Yes, he was. I know. Shout out to him, no doubt.
Yes. Anyway, on with the positivity. Today we are going to be talking about our top 5 favorite sequels of all time.
Yay! Yeah. And if anybody knows me out there at all, they already know what my number 1 and number 2 are. So.
Yes, and I have a feeling that they are in my list as well. Would you like to go ahead and tell me your number 5?
All right. So my number 5 is, just a little bit out of left field, but I really enjoyed it. It's my favorite of the entire series that it does have, including the series that came before it. This movie came out in 2013. It is the follow-up to the movie The Hobbit. And this is called The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, with Benedict Cumberbatch as playing Smaug. I just really enjoyed this movie. I know it's not, nobody really enjoyed the Hobbit trilogy at all.
It is my favorite out of the 3, I will admit that.
Yeah, definitely. I just really had a good time with this. I think that the people who are in the movie had a really good time with this. I think Benedict Cumberbatch had a great time playing Smaug. He is a nominated actor for today's Oscars. You have great actors as well. Martin Freeman and Ian McKellen is back.
They're always great whenever I see them.
As Gandalf.
They haven't disappointed me ever in a disappointment, although Martin Freeman does play himself when he's not playing Bilbo.
Right. We had Orlando Bloom come back as Legolas, and then Evangeline Lilly is in there as Tauriel. I just had a really good time. I think I didn't really care for the first Hobbit, and then the last one nobody ever talks about. And I really enjoyed The Desolation of Smaug over even the first Lord of the Rings trilogy, only because I had a really good time with Desolation of Smaug, and I thought it was a fun movie. And the other movies, they're good, but it does take a lot to get. But yeah, I love Desolation of Smaug. Peter Jackson's a great director, and he definitely knows how to do his sci-fi fantasy movies.
I do want to see his films outside Middle-earth more, because I've only seen King Kong and The Frighteners, and they both have disappointed me. So I hope his other work doesn't. And I've heard his documentaries are great, so you might be going to stick with that now.
Yeah, I did enjoy the one that he put out, was it last year? They Shall Not Grow Old. No, I didn't see the Beatles one, but They Shall Not Grow Old that came out in 2018. 2019. Yeah, I really like that. So my number 5 is Hobbit 2, Desolation of Smaug.
Nice. Good choice. I'm glad you picked we're only doing the second movies. We'll do third and fourth movies in later episodes because they're just as fun as well. So you ready for my number 5? Because we have my first ever tie.
Let's hear it.
All right, these are really weird two connections, but as I was talking to you before we set up, I just had these 2 movies in my head as number 5. I couldn't pick which one was better. They are Godfather Part 2 and Paddington 2. Do you want me to talk about Godfather
Yes.
Part Two or Paddington 2 first?
Let's talk Paddington too.
So Paddington 2, so back in 2019, I watched both Paddington films one day after the other, and I really fell in love with the second one, even though the first one was still just as good. It's amazing how you can make a kids film, a cinematic masterpiece, and I don't think any film elevates a kids film better than Paddington. There's all these like modern kids films you see nowadays just kind of feel a bit lackluster unless they're not DreamWorks or Disney or one of the other good like animation studios. But yeah, Paddington 2 is great. It's a British classic, a British icon. I love Paddington. I highly recommend Paddington 2 to literally anybody. All I will just say is you have to watch the first one first, so it's there. So,
Absolutely.
you want me to talk about The Godfather Part 2? Because there's a reason why I had to put it in this list.
Of course.
All right. This might be a bit of a cheat, but this movie isn't just a sequel, it's a prequel as well, because you see the rise of Vita Corleone in the past timeline. In the present, you see how Michael is rising through the Corleone family in the present. And I just think this is a well-constructed method, and because of this style of writing and everything about this movie, I just think it's the best Godfather film in the trilogy. It's my favourite film in the trilogy because of the way it's written and the performances by De Niro, Diane Keaton, Pacino, Robert Duvall. Who else do I have to say is in this movie? This movie is great. What are your thoughts on these two movies?
Well, I liked Paddington 2, and it definitely came up on a lot of lists when I was doing the research for it. I mean, everyone had it as like their number one. It's crazy when the original and the sequel have high Rotten Tomato scores, almost perfect, and people might even say that 2 is better than 1. So
It is so much
yeah.
better.
So there's that as well, which is really tough to say. But no, I like Paddington 2. I do agree that it can be for families and younger kids, but it's for adults as well.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to make out.
Yeah, and then of course Hugh Grant's always great.
Oh, this was the role that I never cared for Hugh Grant at first until I saw this movie, and I thought when he's not playing the romantic lead, he's actually really good.
Yeah, yeah, and then of course Godfather 2 is
an Oscar Best Picture winner, the only sequel to ever do so.
And then I mean, it's talked about just as much as the first one. When people first hear the word sequel, it's the first movie that comes to their mind. It definitely came to my mind. I did leave it off my list because I knew it was going to be on yours, and I knew it was going to be, it's one of the biggest sequels out there. So I left it off there. It is on my all-star list, of course.
Do you prefer it? Which Godfather film do you prefer, the first one or the second one? Because nobody ever says three.
Yeah, I'm probably the first, but it's the second's really close. I love that it takes place a lot in Italy.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is so beautiful.
Right, what's your fourth favorite sequel?
All right, so this is my tie. I have a tie at number 4 because
we'll just make a rule that says we're only allowed one tie, because if we keep tying, then it'll just get weird.
Yeah, then we'd just have like 15 films. So
yeah, exactly.
No, I have a tie at number 4 because I thought of one to bring in to the pack a little bit late, but I could not take these two off, or one of these two off.
Like me with Paddington and Godfather.
Yeah, exactly. They are in the same category. They are both action movies, and they're both sequels to action movies.
Is one of them Mission Impossible 2?
No, it is not. But my number 4 is a tie, and they are 2004 Bourne Supremacy and 1989 Lethal Weapon 2.
Great choice.
Yeah, so Lethal Weapon 2, I love the Lethal Weapon series. I love all 4 movies, but Lethal Weapon 2 is the one where you have Danny Glover's on the toilet, and Mel Gibson has to pull him off of it, and they just have this really, really special bonding moment. Also, this is when we get to see Joe Pesci first come on as Leo Getz.
Yes,
and
he makes Sleep a weapon.
he really does make it more, fun and funny and a little more lively, but yeah, we have Mel Gibson back, Danny Glover's back, Murtaugh Riggs, and it's just action packed.
And Richard Donner's back to direct.
Exactly. Yeah, this is just action packed. Nominated for Best Effects and Sound Effects Editing in 1990 for the Academy Awards.
I need to see 3 and 4, but I've heard they're not as good as the second one.
I like 4. I like 4 a lot. I think with Chris Rock adds another little element and flair to it, kind of like Joe Pesci did in for the second one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you got some of the same cast back.
I take it 3 is the weakest then in your eyes.
I believe so. Yeah, I do believe
nothing beats the first one, really. The first one.
Well, the first one's so freaking good. One of my all-time favorites. So, but yeah, and then let's talk Bourne Supremacy. So, Bourne Supremacy came out in 2004.
I need to rewatch this trilogy now. Bourne Identity turns 20 years old.
Yep, I believe it's on HBO. Yeah. Paul Greengrass directed this. Robert Ludlum is the one who wrote all the books, and I have read pretty much every single one of them. It's one of the only series that I really love reading.
And this is your favorite film trilogy as a whole?
Yeah, well, there's 5 in the series. But if
original trilogies,
if we just go with that, then that's definitely one of my favorites. Yeah, trilogies of all time. I just love every single one of them. But this one, we have what's his name from? It's the main villain guy in this one. He's in The Boys. He's the main guy in The Boys.
Carl Urban.
Yes, Carl Urban. Very young Carl Urban, and he immediately starts this movie out, and spoiler alert, does something that makes Jason Bourne want to murder him because he fell in love with Marie in the first one, and the second one is them just trying to live their lives, and Carl Urban ruins that, and then there's all hell that breaks loose. Do
you know who else is good in this movie?
Brian Cox.
Brian Cox. Yep. He's always great.
Yep, and then Julia Stiles is in this as well as Joan Allen. What is fantastic about this movie, though, is the chase scene. Unbelievable. Yeah. The way that Paul Greengrass is able to get the angle from underneath him doing the clutch and just through the steering wheel was just very, very impressive. The
Paul
action in this movie
is the guy who did the Tom Hanks Western film last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, News of the World.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yep. And so you can see that he can do like a slower Western, but also an action, fast-paced action movie. And I love this. I think this is so good. The action in this is sublime, and that chase scene is just unforgettable. So my number 4 is a tie with Lethal Weapon 2 and the Bourne Supremacy.
Out of the Bourne films, I'll say my favorite's Ultimatum. I've only seen the original trilogy.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one really does set up the rest of the stuff. And
so you're ready for my number 4?
Bring it on.
All right. So me, you, and Felipe had a whole chat about this franchise. And I know you love this more than the first movie, and I'm expecting this to be in your list so we can talk about it a bit later. But my number 4 is Back to the Future Part 2.
Good choice.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that this is in your list.
Oh, what a feeling that may be.
Yes, it's a very big feeling I have. Tonight, do you want me to explain why I like it? And then,
please. Yeah, do.
Yeah. So the story continues just straight after the first movie. And they actually go to the future. And I think this is the reason why you love this movie so much. And this is where Marty starts to slowly develop his character arc. Because he doesn't have one in the first movie. But after like the next two movies, that's where he starts developing as a character, and he realizes that he just can't be greedy when he gets the sports book. He realizes that he has to give up like his idea of like trying to become rich in order to save the timeline. And I just love, and this is one of these rare movies where I can just watch it from start to finish and not get bored in any moment. I always have fun. I always make references that it predicted some modern day technology. Michael J. Fox is great. The production design is phenomenal in this movie. Would you agree?
I sure would agree.
Because this won my production design award for the Fleming Awards. Do you think it deserved it?
Oh yeah. What were the other ones up for?
I think it was Goodfellas. No, it wasn't Goodfellas.
This one wins.
No, it wasn't Goodfellas. It was Glory. Can't remember. I knew Glory. I think it must have been Glory and Batman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which I'm surprised Batman didn't win.
Mm-hmm. What else do you have to say about it?
I just think it's a great film, and I really like how it plays off like you think the adventure's done, but then he fucks up the timeline. Now we got a new adventure to go on, and the film is still entertaining. It doesn't stop. You think it's going to stop, but then it goes back to the point or creates a new point.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's your bronze then?
Yes, we may be talking about that one shortly. My bronze is a movie that, I don't like it more than the first one. The first one's just so damn good, but what a sequel. What a sequel. And then to add in other players to this to make it even more magnificent, because the first one was so great. When you had Maggie Smith and Kathy Najimy and Whoopi Goldberg, but then when you throw in Lauryn Hill and you throw in Jennifer Love Hewitt and you get Back in the Habit 2, and you get Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, that is my number 3 because I love this movie so much. So much.
Is this your fun choice?
This movie came out in 1993. My fun choice?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
it seems like a fun movie.
It's definitely a fun movie, but this was
the
always
first one was very fun.
Yeah, the first one's great. And the second one's, I mean, it's just so much fun because you bring in the younger kids into this one, and then you got they have to come together to win this $10,000, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful movie. I love the songs in it. You got Ryan Toby, who is the kid. He's just an incredible singer. I just think this is a lot of fun, and I can sing and listen to these songs all day, every day, and I will. So
for some reason,
bring it on.
You was a rock music kind of guy.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. I do. I love like Linkin Park and Avenged Sevenfold, Muse. Those are my favorite.
I'm glad that I know somebody else who likes Muse because I get embarrassed when people say, "I hate Muse." I'm like, have you not listened to their albums all the way through?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, people are so ignorant with music choices nowadays. This is why I just like a bit of everything.
Yeah. They're a little bit off sometimes when it comes to film knowledge.
They are. Yeah.
All right, what's your bronze?
My bronze, I think, will be on your list as well because it's one of the greatest sequels ever to exist. It's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And I love this movie so much more than the original. When I rewatched these two movies, I was like, is it just me or is the first Terminator film not as good as it used to be? And then when I watched Terminator 2, I'm like, the effects, the stunts, everything about this movie still holds up. Even Arnie's acting is pretty decent in this film.
Yeah.
Because I think like with the Terminator, because he's got that robotic voice, it works for him playing that character.
Yes.
And he's actually given a soul in this movie. He cares about John Connor and wants to protect him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just so sad at the end.
Yes, it is.
But,
Very,
Sarah
very sad.
Connor is one of my favorite female characters ever in film. She's just a total badass, and she shows it more in this movie. And this portrayal of this, because obviously she's a victim in the first Terminator. In the second one, she's this badass, kick-ass woman, and they ruined her in the third one by killing her off.
Yep.
And then I think Emilia Clarke pulled off a worse performance as her in Terminator 5, but we won't talk about that movie.
Let's not talk about it.
So I'm assuming this is on your list as well.
Well, that's a pretty good assumption.
Yes.
I mean, you really like to pick topics that you already know my one, two, so.
I just like talking with you about our favourite movies, to be honest.
Well, yeah, but then there's no surprise.
I didn't know which order you would have these two in. It still blows my mind which one out of these two you're going to pick a second.
Yeah, it's hard to pick, but I of course have one that is definitely over the other. Are you ready to find out which?
Yes, so which one is first out of the two that was on my list?
My number two is also a number two. It is one of my all-time favorite movies ever. I could rewatch this over and over and over again, and I have, and it has already been mentioned to you by you. This movie came out in 1989, and it's Back to the Future Part Two.
So
Yeah.
we can't place them in the right order from each other as well.
I suppose we did. And
So what's your thoughts
since you
on
keep
this?
blabbing on what it's mine and mine, and we all know what my number one is. But yeah, my number two is Back to the Future Part Two. I just love that. I love the whole future part of it all. I love everything about it. I just think it's so great. I love the hoverboard. I love the holograms, and just like you said, there's a big, gambling thing going on here. Elizabeth Shue's in this one, and she wasn't in the first one, so I like how.
Glover's not in this movie either. He was in the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, Christopher Lloyd, Michael J. Fox, and Tom Wilson are back. And I just love Biff in this one. Biff has his, different. He gets to be different characters in this one. He does Tom Wilson. He's not just Biff, but he's like Bull Buchanan and the old man. He's his own old man. Like, he gets to play different characters in just this one.
And a Donald Trump parody.
Yep, in a Donald Trump parody. We have Elijah Wood in this as a little boy, and then Billy Zane is in this too. Is probably one of his first movies. But I just love it so much. I just love.
It is a fantastic sequel. That's why on my list.
Production design's big. They filmed this at Universal Studios Hollywood. You can go and see the clock tower. They still use it.
I have seen it with my own eyes, the clock tower, when I went on holiday there.
Yep, and they still film a lot of stuff out in front of that. Yeah, I mean, I can go on and on and on about this. I love his hat. I love his jacket. I love his shoes. I love his style. And I just really enjoyed this. Leah Thompson.
You still like the first one, right?
Yeah, but this one's, to me, is better. Like, this is one of the ones on my list where I enjoyed the second one more than the first.
Nice. I think out of the list, Back to the Future Part 2 is the only one I prefer the first one to.
Nice.
Right. So you probably know my second if you know one of my favorite sci-fi franchises.
Oh, yeah.
So this movie is part of the Star Wars franchise, came out in 1980, and it's The Empire Strikes Back. This is the time where Luke has to train to be a Jedi and finally confront Darth Vader. And spoiler alert, he finds out that Darth Vader is his real father.
Mm-hmm.
So Darth Vader uses this to manipulate Luke to the dark side And the movie just ends beautifully after that. I love the ending to this movie because it shows that Luke's got to try and get his groove back and take on Vader again and not give up. Also, the gang have to save Han Solo because he's frozen and he's been taken to Jabba the Hutt. But what I love about this movie is how it's written. The writing is just solid. It's the best written Star Wars film in my opinion, because it doesn't really have, although it does have like some corny jokes, it doesn't feel like it's like cheesily written. It actually feels like a lot of time and effort was put into this so that he could advance the story. I know he wrote this first, but surely he had a couple of rewrites before he made this. And obviously he had a bigger budget with this one, George Lucas. He actually hired a different director to do it because he had more money to do it. This director, Ivan Kenshin, I think his name is. Yeah, I don't know any of his other movies, but I'd say he's a good director from what I've seen. It's also one of the best shot Star Wars movies. The cinematography is gorgeous. The only one I'd say it's on par with is Rogue One, and that's because it's shot by Greg Fraser, and he's amazing. But yeah, overall, my number 2 is Empire Strikes Back.
Smart.
What are your thoughts on this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I was into Star Wars more, but I'm just not as much as people out there. But
like me and Cody.
Yeah, or the rest of the world. But yeah, Empire Strikes Back's great.
You seem more like an action guy than a fantasy or sci-fi guy.
100%. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a very good movie. It's a very good franchise. I mean, it's one that we all know, and it's grown into this huge franchise. So I mean, what more can we say about it? Everyone knows it already. It's such a big franchise.
It is. It's a great franchise. So I have a feeling what your number 1 is because I spoke about it earlier.
Yep.
Would you talk about your thoughts on this movie?
Yep. My number 1 movie, all-time favorite sequel, is also my favorite movie ever. So this was no question what it was going to be. Also, you knew it from the get-go what it was going to be.
Now we've got to speak about both our favorite movies of all time, as I spoke about Fight Club on the last episode you were in.
Yep, that's right. This movie came out in 1991, and it's Terminator 2: Judgment Day. This movie is a perfect film. It won 4 Oscars for sound and effects, visual effects, sound effects, and makeup. And yeah, I mean, it's just a perfect movie. You get the friendship between the T-1000. I mean, the Terminator and Edward Furlong, John Connor. You get their love, or whatever they have for each other. It's like a brotherly thing. And then, of course, Sarah Connor is just so badass in this film. I love the other Terminator in this movie, because he's like a shapeshifter. And Robert Patrick. I love
he's
the
great.
Mall scene the mall scene when he pulls out the roses and they fall out and he has his shotgun. He's like, and he just, it's iconic. I mean, there's so much in it. The motorcycle chase with the big semi truck.
I need you to close your boots and your motorcycle. One of my favorite lines in movie history.
Yep. And he's just so badass. He's badass. Linda Hamilton's badass.
Do you think he's better as a hero than a villain?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think Arnold's always better as a hero than a villain. Of course, this is written and directed by James Cameron.
But we all know he's great at making sequels because one of my also rants I completely forgot about was Aliens.
Yeah, well, I definitely thought that was going to be on your list. But yeah, he's an amazing director.
I hope Avatar 2 is good if Terminator 2 is great.
Yeah. But yeah, this, I mean, it was
And
Austin
if
La
it
Vista
is, it
Baby was
can
born.
prove James Cameron can write sequels.
Yeah. But yeah, Austin La Vista was born because of this. There's so many great sayings. One of my favorite parts is, "Hey, how's Wolfie doing?" "Wolfie's fine, honey. Wolfie's just fine." And then right through the mouth. So great. I just love this movie. I want to talk about it more and more and more. But yeah, you're right. The ending's really, really sad. Just a big old thumbs up. And yeah, I also
Which
don't want
Jim
it to
Carrey
end.
did in the funniest way.
Yep. Yeah, so as we all knew, my number one was going to be Terminator 2, A Judgment Day.
And if you know who I am, you know my favourite sequel of all time because it's my second favourite movie of all time as well.
Let's hear it.
It's a movie we've already discussed, which was my number one favourite Batman movie. It's The Dark Knight.
Of course. This
Of
came
course.
up a bunch.
Well, I rewatched them both after Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. I rewatched them both just after our episode when I was prepping for the Batman. And I kind of don't care for Batman Begins as much as I used to, but I still think The Dark Knight is a cinematic masterpiece. I know you said it's quite performance driven because of Heath Ledger's Joker, but I do look at everything else about that movie because the story is great. The cinematography is gorgeous. Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard's score is tremendous. Lee Smith's editing is amazing. Production design and Nolan's overall directing. Why didn't it even get nominated for an Oscar? It would have been nominated now if they had the 10 picks back then.
Yep.
I think that's the reason why they changed it to 10 because Dark Knight wasn't nominated.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, this came up a bunch on a lot of people's lists. It's on my also rants, of course, because it's just, it's a fantastic, fantastic movie. There's nothing bad you can say about this movie, But I had to leave it off my list because I knew it was going to be on yours.
You don't hate the movie because of me, do you?
Oh, no, of course not. I can't hate the movie. No way.
I know some people that don't like it, but I think they're not looking at it from certain angles like we do.
Right. Yeah, so some of my also rants, Godfather 2, you've already mentioned, Dark Knight, you already mentioned. I also love Batman Returns. I think that's a great sequel. Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, why didn't I put that on my also rants? That probably would have been second now if I thought about
it. John Wick 2.
That's my least favorite of the John Wick films for some reason.
Yeah. Captain America Winter Soldier I liked a lot.
Amazing.
Scream 2, of course. Pretty good follow-up.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
Raid 2, because I effed up and messed up and not put Raid on that international one the other day.
Can I read out a couple?
Well, I have one more, and then Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls.
Good choice. So ones I ripped down at the last minute were Blade Runner 2049, which is my favourite Blade Runner film. The Two Towers, even though it's my least favourite out of the trilogy of Lord of the Rings, it's still a strong sequel that connects the story together. Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, not my favourite Mad Max film, but still a pretty cool movie. And Guilty Pleasure, I don't know what it is, but I just have a thing for Pitch Perfect 2.
Yeah, I thought about that one. Yeah, well, good. That means you have a musical somewhere in there.
Yeah, I love Pitch Perfect.
Yeah. Cool. Let's run them down. My number 5 is The Hobbit: Desolation of Smaug.
My number 5 is tied between Godfather Part 2 and Paddington 2.
I also had a tie. Coming in at number 4, we have Lethal Weapon 2 and the Bourne Supremacy.
My number 4 is Back to the Future Part 2.
My number 3 is Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit.
My number 3 is Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
My number 2 is Back to the Future Part 2.
My number 2 is Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
And my number 1 is Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
And my number 1 is The Dark Knight.
I think we did it.
We did it, yes. Yes, we did. We did. So before we end the show, because we've still got a little bit of time, what are your predictions for the Oscars today?
Okay, so some locks. If you guys are out there and you need some absolute locks for your Oscar pool, these you can definitely bank on. You can bank on Will Smith winning Best Actor. You can bank on Ariana DeBose winning Best Supporting Actress.
I rewatched West Side Story, and she's one of my favorites. My favorite's the one that plays Riff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Michael Fahey or whatever.
Yeah, Mike Faced. Yeah. He's phenomenal.
Encanto's gonna win Best Animated Film. You can bank it.
Would you say Zimmer's got score in the bag?
I have him winning, but it's not a bank. Summer of Soul winning Best Documentary.
I think Dune will win Best Cinematography and Best Visual Effects.
Best International Film, Drive My Car, no doubt.
Which I really want Worst Person in the World to win at the last minute, but I know it won't.
And then another bank is Best Hair and Makeup going to The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Yes. Not Cruella.
No, Cruella's going to win Best Costume.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That should not win Best Costume. Jane Campion's definitely a bank as well.
Yeah, and then, my big and final bank is Best Directors going to Jane Campion.
Who do you think will win Best Supporting Actor, Troy or Cody?
Probably Troy. I mean, I'm hoping Troy. I do think that I'd rather have Kieran Hines win, but we all know he hasn't won anything, so it's probably going to be Troy. I have Dune winning cinematography, score, editing, and visual effects.
It won't win Best Picture at the last minute, then.
No, Best Sound and Best Production Design. So it is my biggest winner of the night.
I bet you're hoping that Nightmare Alley wins at the last minute.
Well, of course, but I'm going with The Power of the Dog.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for, that or Coda.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd rather my number 1 would be Nightmare Alley, and then I'd rather have, of course, Dune would be great, but then, Coda, Power of the Dog is one of the bottom ones.
It's not going to be Don't Look Up, sadly.
No. I do think Coda's going to win Adapted Screenplay, though. I'm really hoping. I'm hoping.
What do you think will win Original Screenplay? Because I hope it's Kenneth Branagh.
I don't think Kenneth Branagh is going to win anything this year. I have Don't Look Up winning.
Because I don't know why, but I just have a feeling it'll be Licorice Pizza.
Yeah, definitely could be.
Only three quarters of that movie is great.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of gets a bit boring. It kind of lets stuff down in the last act.
Yeah. Do you think No Time to Die is going to win Best Song?
I kind of want Be Alive from King Richard.
Yeah, well, I think it's either going to be No Time to Die or Dos Agaritas from Encanto.
I don't understand why they didn't nominate We Don't Talk About Bruno.
They're an idiot. They're just idiots because it's the biggest song of the year.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. I have for shorts, I have Take and Run winning, Audible, and The Windshield Wiper, but I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Are you hoping Summer of Soul wins Best Documentary?
No, it's a lock. You can lock it.
So that was probably that's probably the best documentary I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not really big on documentaries, but that just blew me away. So thank you for the recommendation earlier last year.
Of course, yeah, it's such a great movie. Yeah, Attica's really good. Writing with Fire, I think, has a chance, but yeah, like if you go to Oscar odds, I mean, like Summer of Soul is winning for
Which one
sure.
was your favourite of the international films?
Oh, my favorite,
Yeah, just your personal favourite.
probably. I mean, it's not Drive My Car, which is winning.
Is it Worst Person in the World?
Oh no, The Hand of God. That's my favorite of the
I
five.
preferred Worst Person in the World.
Yeah, it's probably Hand of God, then Flea, then Worst Person in the World, then Drive My Car, then Lunana Yak in the Classroom.
I like that film.
Yeah, but it's definitely the weakest of the five. There's nothing really special about
No, I
it at
think Drive My
all.
Car is the weakest because of how slow it is.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Well, yeah, but it's also nominated for Best Picture, so.
Yeah, and it's my least favourite of the Best Picture winners as well.
Yep. Yeah, Mitchell's versus the Machines can make an upset.
Even though I like Mitchell's and the Machines just a little bit more, I do think Encanto deserves it more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, to me the biggest open for discussion could be anybody because of how crazy the award season's been going is Best Actress.
Yes, because the BAFTAs didn't have any of the 5 nominees.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
See, my personal pick, because the better movie out of the 5 was Parallel Mothers, so I kind of want to give it to Penelope Cruz, but I think Jessica will win.
Yeah, well, I no question the best performance out of even the 10 nominated for actor actress is Jessica Chastain for Eyes of Tammy Faye. There's just no question.
Is it because Parallel Mothers is more of a dialogue driven movie?
No, I think Penelope Cruz would be second out of the 5, but yeah, Kristen. I think also Jennifer Hudson was one of my favorite performances from last year for Aretha Franklin.
I was hoping she'd get nominated. That's why I was so hyped for Respect.
Yeah.
Now, the 2 I was hoping to see when I watched it were Jennifer Hudson and Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, and they were both really, really good.
Well, I know Forrest is more of a like debt supporting roles, but I always kind of when I see him in a film, I kind of always know he's going to be good out the cast anyway. I haven't seen him in anything terrible, so.
Yep. Yeah, Riz Ahmed has a chance to be a multi Oscar winner tonight because he is up for he produced A Long Goodbye for a live action short, and then he also produced Flea, which is up for animated feature, documentary feature, and international feature. So he has 4 nominees just tonight alone. So good for him.
Yeah, and I think in the next episode we should get back together and talk about what we think of the results like we did last year.
That sounds good to me. Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
What, great. You have any recommendations for the week?
Recommendations? Yes, I recommend the Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love.
In the Mood for Love.
It came out in 2020, stars Maggie Chen and Tony Leung, the same Tony Leung from Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings. They play these 2 people whose spouses are having affairs with them, and they kind of form a connection. Most of the scenes are just like them 2 in like intimate rooms, but it's well shot and well color graded and well acted and well written. It is kind of the second movie in a trilogy, but as I was saying about Old Boy, they're kind of more standalone movies that just link in together, so I didn't really want to count it in this list. But yeah, Wong Kar-wai is a director I've started to get into a bit more, and I highly recommend people to check out his movies. And I checked out Fallen Angels, Happy Together, Chungking Express, and the other 2 movies from this trilogy, but I think his best so far is In the Mood for Love. I highly recommend you check that one out. So that's my recommendation today.
All right. My recommendation on Bulu. Bulu's killing it lately, putting out lots of films weekly. I really enjoyed Dark Water with Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas.
Yeah, I didn't think much of that movie.
Yeah, nobody else did either. I
I'm
liked
just
it.
not into erotic thrillers.
Well, the director is for sure because he did like Indecent Proposal and all that. But the real movie I want to recommend is After Yang with Colin Farrell.
Ooh.
And it's about their AI Yang has to get fixed because he's not working right, and the family just seems to just don't know what to do. So it's really about not knowing what you have until it's gone, and it's really about focusing on being present in your family. So
Yeah,
After Yang, I recommend.
Nice. I'll have to check that one out. What's your favorite Colin Farrell performance this year? That or the Penguin?
Oh, well, the Penguin, definitely. Unbelievable. He's so good. I bet he's up for supporting actor next year.
What, my awards or the Oscars or both?
Well, I guess both.
Nice. Nice one.
Yep. Great. Well, this was a lot of fun. I am, let's see, 2 hours away from going to watch the red carpet. If you guys are watching this and you're Oscar fans, know in the first hour they're handing out 8 Oscars. So at 7, before the Oscars even start, they're already handing out 8. So watch it so you can know who is winning already.
Nice.
Yeah.
Touch wood for Hans.
Can't wait.
Right.
Yeah. You got 3 three hosts this year: Wanda Sykes, Amy Schumer, and Regina Hall. First ever woman trilogy, I believe, because it used to be Whoopi, Billy, and Robin.
That must have been like the dream team.
Unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, check that out.
So why didn't they get Timothy Chalamet, Tom Holland, and Florence Pugh? Them three would be brilliant together.
What about Florence Pugh, Tom Holland, and Saoirse Ronan? I mean, not Saoirse Ronan, or not Tom Holland, but Timothy Chalamet, Florence Pugh, and Saoirse Ronan.
Oh, the cast of Little Women. Yeah, that'd be fun. That would be fun.
Plus, Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh to me, they're probably around the same age. They're both really good actors.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all right. Thanks for doing this a little bit later. I know it's a little bit later today because I had to move. I had to move hotel rooms. And now it actually worked out better because this Wi-Fi is a lot better.
Oh, your hotel looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it's the W Hotel in Atlanta. So I got really lucky.
Atlanta, I love that show.
Yeah, so that right there is where the shower is. So if somebody's showering, you can kind of see through it, even though the bathroom's on the other side.
Isn't that a bit weird?
It's a bit weird. I mean, it's kind of sexy if you have like a friend over, but I'm alone, so it's not sexy at all.
No, it's not. It's not. Right.
But, all right, buddy. Thanks everybody for watching.
Yes, thank you guys for watching. What's your favorite sequel? What are your Oscar picks for tonight? Come back next week. Me and Justin will be back talking about the result. We'll probably have a nice big long week to think about it before we get back together and talk about it. But until next time, that is the end of the show.
Yeah, you can find me at Worth of You Movies on all the things. Check out stuff on TikTok. I do stuff on TikTok. And, just check me out everywhere because I don't just exclusively post the same stuff on everyone. I'm mixing it up and moving stuff around and having it be fun and stuff. So
is that why our video we did on Turning Red was exclusive to YouTube?
It wasn't. Well, so YouTube is the only one that you can actually post longer than 3 minutes, I think. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why Turning Red's a longer talk. Yeah, like some stuff is just exclusive to some things. Like YouTube, you get the longer 10-minute version of our review about Turning Red and talk about it. Yeah, go check that out.
And obviously, if you want a good review daily, check out Robbie's Reviews.co.uk. Marvel Mondays is back tomorrow, and we're talking Fantastic Four from 2005, one of the much better ones.
Yeah, hope it's not the 2010s one.
Oh, that was awful.
Even though I like a lot of the people in it.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching and viewing. And yeah, until next time.
Until next time. Bye, Justin.
Later, Robbie.